All right, so this is the second game, Team Stan versus Team Strat. I believe the first game was a no-show by Strat who misread the time, so it was I think it was All that replaced him, right?
It was whole, yes.
It was All. Okay, so that game actually didn't count. So this is the second game. So the first game was unfortunately forfeited by Team Strat, but Stan, I think they won, but since it didn't count, then they were not able to sadly make it count. So on your side, the Stan, you played this game, so I see that you're player 8. You have also Tiffer, player 6, Jams, player 7, as well as Fupa, player 5. And on the opposite team, we have obviously Strat, Pink Panther, Solomon as player 3, and who's player 4? Pink Panther, sorry. So I said that already. Which one am I missing? Oh, Woda X, which is player 2. So quite a strong team on the other side, but you also have pretty good players on your side. So what was the game plan going into this match?
Our game plan was quite simple. We were thinking about making life as difficult as possible for player two early.
Okay,
Make sure he doesn't get a power spike too early, or we can set up defenses in other places.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I
And
think
we
that's what is gonna happen too, right? If I remember correctly that game, but we'll see that in a moment. Yeah. So and you chose to put Fupa, which makes a lot of sense, right? As player 5, which is the newer player, against player 4, which is uh, Pink Panther. I think there is a bit more experience, Pink Panther, but overall pretty even match, right? I think so.
skills wise, I would say so, but Fupa on player five doesn't always know what to do yet, which
Okay,
isn't a
yeah, yeah,
shame. He's
he's a
pretty
newer
new.
player, that makes sense. Whereas most of the other players are regular that have played this map before a lot, and it's more natural for them for sure to know exactly what to do. So far, it's a pretty standard opening. I would say everybody's like just booming. Obviously, it's still early in the game. I don't see anything, out of the ordinary really worth mentioning other than people are doing their early quests. I believe we should see like a tunnels, either a wall by green or by the elf or by gray or purple. I don't know whose job it's gonna be. We do have Gandalf going to go do the quest with Radagast, and obviously Thorin is behind. I don't like that Thorin is often lagging behind just because of the last tournament where there was like a special surprise waiting for us in this specific area where Thorin and Gandalf were actually walled off separately. There was like buildings being built between the two so that they couldn't help each other, and then there was like people trapping behind as well. It was just like a big mess. But yeah, I think people should be a bit more careful. But what we see here is that obviously player 6 is bringing back his villager, so I don't know what the plan is with this one, but definitely not a rush going from Osgabal at this time.
Not wasn't really spoken about. We the first two games of the tournament, we didn't really have a plan other than uh, this is our general idea. Let's go have fun.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I told my team as well, right? So like so far, like just people are aware in the tournament, since we only have 4 teams and this is the qualifications, there's no real there's no risk of not making it to the semifinals because we only have 4 teams. So we need 4 teams for the semifinals. The only advantage you get, or the two advantages I would say that you get in this case, is that you're able to get first pick on the side if you're like higher points, so you add more points during qualifications. And also, if there's a tie, then you get to decide which side you're playing on. But other than that, there's no real reason to really try hard the qualifications, which should be seen as more as practice game basically. So it doesn't really impact anything or mean anything at the moment. So player 8 wanted
It's
to,
just for.
yeah, go for it.
I was gonna say it's just for synergy. Build up synergy within your team.
Yeah, no, I agree. And yeah, I see you're not making any early catapult rocket cards actually for player 8. Is this is this something you were afraid of during your when you played with player 8, that he was going to rush you very early on with some rams and try to sneak his way into the camps?
I don't know if I was afraid of that, but I was focusing my attention away from camps. So I was doing a build to attack Easter camp, and I didn't want to build a rocket card. I
Ah,
think I
yeah, that
did
makes
eventually,
sense.
but
Okay, so the plan
not
basically
as early.
is to overwhelm Orange by pushing Nest at the same time as you're pushing Camp and taking, well, Easterling, I should say, and then overwhelming him so that you can take advantage and pass Fellowship, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was the general idea.
I understand, I understand. So that means, yeah, okay, I see that. Well, it's pretty standard as well for player six. Going to Castle Age. There's nothing really out of the ordinary here. There's a couple of options, right? With Northman, I think you can either try to place a lot of TCs, have a very solid boom, or do like a mix of a half a boom and then early imp and then early push into the nest. And I think from what I'm seeing right now, that's probably going to be the case because there's way too much on gold to be a simple boom. So probably that we'll see an early rush from Teal. And obviously, I've seen the matches, so I know what happens. But let's just say that I'm not aware of that and that I'm super insightful. And obviously, sheeps are being sent to player 8, also pretty standard beginning of the game. Other than that, I think Blue has not really prepared for a forest shell push, but he did bring back Thorin. I assume you told him to send him there, so to be sure that if there was somebody pushing, then he would be able to defend. Um,
Yep.
do you like that idea of having like early rocket cards here to defend for a shell, like at this time or around this time? Or do you think it's like an unnecessary defense that only slows down player 5 and will usually make him lose the early game against player 4?
It's minute 12. It's a very all-in push if they can break. Player one should have need to add Rams and Jaguars, I guess,
Hmm.
or any barracks unit,
Yeah.
and player four would have to show up with the slingers. So no, I'm not particularly afraid of that early.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense, and it's already walled over here as well. I think that I like this approach that player six is walling early this area, so that this way, you can see everything coming that way. So if there was like a push by player one, for example, an early push, you would see that. Oh, you did finally make a rocket card though, and a little bit later on, but still you made one to make sure that it was safe, which I think is a good move. Um, I've seen the meta as well being like a lot of player 8 actually making some rocket cards to defend this gate by player 6. I don't know if I like that or not yet because it puts a lot of pressure on player 8 that already has his attention divided everywhere, right? He has Cam to defend, he can potentially have Dunlin to defend, he needs to defend Red Water, and now he also gets to focus on this when Gray is pushing. So I don't know if I like it. I think it makes sense, but I think it's hard, to be aware of all that. Oh, and the early push that it was mentioning by player 6, right? Where's player 7 though? Where's the elf?
I assume he will come shortly.
Yeah.
You're exactly right in what you were saying. I made rocket cards this game to help defend. Didn't micro them.
Hmm.
The whole idea is that player 8 has to invest in the upgrade anyways, in the heavy rocket guard upgrade. So
That's
why not
true.
make them
Yeah.
for Dale as well?
Yeah, that's true. I understand that that is just I find it so hard because the map is so wide, and then when they're here, sometimes you're already like fighting over here and fighting over here, trying to micro, and then you're like, oh shit, I also need to micro this shit, and now you're like, you cannot be everywhere at the same time when somebody has his full attention at this place, then you're gonna lose something. So yeah, I do understand the principle of it. It needs to be like very well tuned, I would say. So now. Obviously, Woda is. I don't think he was expecting that, right? So the Great War is going back. I think that's a good move. He's trying to block with the University, but it's already too late for those three nests, right? Unless he starts pumping out units right now. I think it's a very, very strong push in the beginning because right now he's not even. Yeah, he's not even the imp. He's making some spiders. I don't know. I don't like spiders against the barding air though. I don't think they're that strong.
They aren't strong, but if you are lucky, and yes, it does mainly depend on luck, you can snipe ramps.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
that's why you
of
should
course.
always make at least a few.
And I think this is the move, right? So you know those two nests are pretty easy to push because they're undefended. There's no buildings. So the idea of pushing right away to the fourth nest, which is the further one and the hardest to take, makes a lot of sense to me. So obviously, I think this is smart, and he's struggling right now to protect it, or he will struggle to protect it. I think maybe the move is to build here as well, but now he's very short on eco. He does have a good pop though, like 150, but yeah, those are just gonna get shredded, right? There's 25 in there, but he will be able to snipe a couple of rams, I guess, from behind, but this is too strong for him. How much? Like, it's 11 attack versus, I think those are 9. Yeah, even with the, and Trundle is there, Legolas is there, they just melt, right?
Especially Thranduil will melt everything.
Yeah,
He gets on top of the
it's
fighters.
so strong at the beginning. And going away from there just a second, we see that that's great. That actually walled here. He's trying to do the quest with purple. That makes perfect sense as well. Is he preparing for a push yet? Not yet. No, he's really just doing his quests. That makes sense. Purple is preparing as well. Not a lot of action on player 1 as well. He is starting to make barracks here. I think it's a little late, but it's actually late just because he was attacked too early, because otherwise it would be pretty much on the spot, I assume. Yeah, so far, pretty good push by player 6 and player 7. I think if I were to bet at this point, I would say that they got this game in a good spot.
It's definitely solo opening, yes. Forcing them to react to us.
And
For
you're
now, we
already
have all the initiative on the map.
that's it. And you have the initiative, and as well you're ready to push as well, player 2, which with that many rams and that many units, I'm sure he's not gonna. I don't even know if he's gonna see that actually, because he must be so distracted with the nest. Although maybe nest is like he's given up on it yet. I don't know. Is he? No, he's still making units.
I think at this point he is preparing for the next step after Nest before trying to save Nests on its own. And it's what you should do, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it's a wise move, and we see that yellow's a bit late. Well, actually, you were a bit late with the dwarves, but that happens, right? Because
Yep.
you have so much to think about at the beginning of the game. It's easy to forget some units. Okay, so now red is coming in, so I think that's the correct move as well. The arc crushers against the archers, but I don't think they do that well though against the. Oh, that's a pretty bad loss. Yeah, Legolas is gonna fall.
Yeah.
That sucks. I think
Very unnecessary.
that was very unnecessary. Yeah, because he could have even, yeah, he should have lived. That sucked. Yeah. And now this nest is falling. This nest, well, it's still up. There's the last one that will be there. And there's not that much either, right? Because it's, well, Gray's there too. So Gray made units actually. Okay, so he's sending units here. That's interesting. Where are the units coming from? Oh, he built some archeries inside the base. Nice. I don't often see Gray helping in the nest, but I think it was such an all-in on your side that probably is pretty smart. 3 rocket cards, that's pretty decent. We'll stop a push for sure. What's the move now? Okay, so Gray with all of his Gundabad Lancer will push Fornost. Blue, nothing behind Fornost. That's a big oof, right? He's a new player, so that makes sense, but still, it's gonna hurt. There's no way that I don't think Fornost can survive this. We'll see though, but I don't remember actually if it falls or not. And Inister, actually, yeah, it's maybe not gonna fall because now the nest fell actually too fast, right? I think that's the issue here. Since they fell too fast, now all of his army is actually here to defend, so you're kind of screwed. Yeah, that sucks. It's just it's an odd timing. And Angmar is pushing here as well. But I think it's almost overkill in this time, right? There's so many units to take 4 nuts and there's actually nothing defending. It would have been better.
Yeah, but of course, Evil doesn't know that.
No, that's it. And side, we see everything with a bird's eye view, right? So we have no fog of war. But yeah, it's in that side, it would have been better maybe to push somewhere else because it was gonna fall anyway, I think. but pretty strong push here. Big commit as well. So it was 2v1 on Nest pretty early on, or even 3v1 versus player 2. He lost Nest. He's probably not going to lose Easterling, and Gray's helping here, but there is a 3v1 as well in Fornost, and I don't think there's any way that Teal can survive this, or Fornost can survive this, I should say. Mostly because Blue is quite late with his buildings and units, which is unfortunate. Was Pupa like very active in before the matches, or was it more like a? No, I think it was like a
I
last
think
minute, right?
he was a last minute insert. He basically joined the team on Friday. No, he joined the team on Wednesday, and our game was on Friday. We literally didn't discuss anything between ourselves except you're playing player 5.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because it was such an early I think it was Sean that was supposed to play on your side, and then was replaced because he wasn't actually able to. So yeah, that makes sense. And we also have, here. I don't know if I like the Gulam move, the Rune Soldier. They're pretty strong, but I don't know if they don't do that well against the Arding Bard, right? I felt
No,
like
they shouldn't.
They were getting pretty shredded by them, even though there was a mass. They do good though against the archers. I think they have like a pretty like good piercing armor, which is like
Yeah, but keep in mind they are okay versus Barding Hearts early because Blue hasn't or Teal hasn't got the tech yet to get splash damage.
that is a big blow though. Bulk being dead is like almost makes it worth for good side to actually lose Fornos, right? Because now that means red cannot get access to black Uruks. So it is a pretty bad loss for Evil. I don't know how that happened even. I didn't see it, but it looks like it was here.
It was in Fornost because I have no idea where he died either.
No, it was in Fornost. That's where he was. I didn't realize he was there, but he did die over here, which is a pretty big blow again for good side, Evil side. Sorry, good side is pretty good for them. And now I'm not sure what the plan is here. Just continue pushing, clear this so that you can actually pass Fellowship. I think.
Plan was Fellowship, yes.
Yeah, because I think Evil side reaction was actually pretty good, right? With all the army from Orange that's pouring in, and Grey as well. Red actually committing a bit early on as well. Well, obviously not those, but he's pushing here as well. Got Arathorn defending here. So yeah, like now Red I feel has lost a bit of momentum. He needs to remake the Rams. I'm curious to see what's gonna happen with those though. Is he gonna push for a shell? Probably. Blue is doing a decent game, decent job at defending now. Like yes, he lost 4 now, but I think now he's gonna be fine, at least in this area. He's got the Hobbit and the Fire Lancer. I'm not sure. Honestly, I'd never play player 5 anymore, so I'm not sure about the Fire Lancers, but I was told they're pretty good against the whatever player 5 is making. I don't know if you have more insight.
They aren't in this situation because there's both the Legionary from red and there's the shuttles from purple who both have bonus damage versus shock infantry, which the Fire Lancer is.
Ah. But the Hobbits are anti-infantry units, so they should also
slingers.
shred those, right? So yeah, I like their the visual of the Hobbit. I don't know which unit that is. I don't recognize it. It must be like one of the new DLCs. And as we expected, like unfortunately the Esterling push didn't work. You even got like pushback, I think, at Redwater at some point, because now you must be preparing for the rush at camp as well. Although Red has not made a move yet. So
I think I'm in Barrows of preparing that.
Oh yeah, we see some Rams over here. Yeah, preparing barrels. Nobody's taking the neutral gold yet. I think Goldfimble should go back to this castle, no? In Mongrab. Doesn't he give like a special something in this area? I don't remember actually.
He gives 2 plumes every minute after plumes are unlocked.
Nice. Oh shit, okay, I didn't see this, but yeah, that's pretty bad for blue. Oh, he wasn't able to push this. I guess his army was going all around and he didn't have any buildings to defend here, but he should have been able to. So the ram just passed not this gate but the second gate and then rushed right into Foroshell, which in turns gave a second buff to... No, it's the first buff for purple, right? Fornos is not a buff for purple.
Yes. Almost is a buff for red.
So red has one buff, purple has one buff. So that's two buff against one. Two actually, right?
Against
You got Nest,
Bolg. Yes, and
Bold,
Nest.
and does Legolas? Legolas is not one though, right?
Legolas is, yeah,
Yeah,
well, yes, he is an elite buff for orange.
for orange. So that would mean that there's actually 3-2 for
Right now
Legolas.
there is, yeah.
But it's still pretty even, right? The game can go either side now. Oh, but this is not good. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but yeah, the spam needs to happen. And spearmans are coming out and right into the crepost. I think you're rushing the text now, probably. Making sure that you have the Alberdier ASAP coming out from this barrack. Yeah, it's almost done. I think you should be able to survive this. Yeah. Where is your army though? I feel like I don't see a lot of army.
A lot is tied up in rocket cards.
Ah, the rocket cards. That's the other reason why I find it's like maybe those 3 rocket cards would have made more sense to be here, right? But
Yes, and they will do nothing in deal.
yeah,
There will be AFK there because I am here.
that's it. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I meant earlier. I think that makes sense on paper, but it doesn't make sense when the game is so chaotic that you're being pushed on 3 different sides. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So here, I think you'll still be able to defend unless like magic happens, I guess.
The helps coming out from the crepos did some work.
Yeah.
Blocking the elephants from hitting the gate and having bonus damage, of course.
And you also have Teal, obviously, that's helping. That's a big help for sure. So red is trying to push over here. I assume they want to go for the buff here for the Prancing Pony and Bree, so get Bree down. And you're also pushing Barrows, so that's another thing on your plate that you have to focus on. And I see you brought the company there. I like the move. Yeah, it makes sense. They're pretty strong. Now it's
The
obviously
first
go for it.
the first time you enter Barrows, 5 units spawn. Those 5 units do have armor strip, so you can't use them as a front line. But if you have other units killing those, then yeah, they're a very solid addition.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So you survived Rose Gobble push, that's perfect. Camp was taken back, I would say, by orange and gray, but not a big deal. I think gray's also pushing here, but Teal is holding well. This is more of a concern, though. I don't know if
Yeah.
Blue is going to be able to protect that, but he has army from behind, so he should be okay, I think. Obviously, it's a lot of people here, but I think his army is actually okay. Does he have all the text though? Not sure. 4+2. I think he's missing some upgrades.
He's missing Bracer then, yes.
Okay. So now you're pushing back. Oh, green decided to go here. I'm not sure about that move though, because orange...
Green wanted to join me for Easterlink camps.
Ah, that makes sense, yeah. Okay,
But I think I only make a few units until they hit southern camps.
But he's gonna lose everything, I think, because of the camel archers and the run soldier. Yeah, he's losing everything. I think that's a mistake by him. He must not have been paying attention. I don't know where his attention was, but must have been focused somewhere else. Probably Dale, sorry. Probably Dale or Bree, yeah, Bree as well. He's here with 200 swordmen. Yeah, this push is not gonna do what they expected it to do, but there is, more units going through. Blue is blocking the reinforcement by behind, and you still have a couple of villas taking gold here. That's nice. Barrow was taken, So that's a nice buff as well, buff for player 7, so for the elves. That's nice. Camp still alive, 42
Yes.
minutes, hasn't been attacked yet. That's also nice for good side. And now you're preparing your second push, I would say, for Easterling, or third one maybe. Such an
The
hard,
second.
it's so hard to push this though because of the
It's impossible to push alone until you have very late game army with, say, 40 X-Men at least.
yeah. And now we have Orange, so like pushing. Dale is taking the front outpost here. I think that's a good move as well. He's taking his time, you know, just clearing everything, which in turns will make his life easier for push afterwards because he won't get his unit sniped or denied by the buildings. And now it's a full Dale push. Grazier hasn't made a move on Bjorn or anybody else yet, so he's really focusing. He was focusing on Ness and now on Dale. Makes sense. It's a standard play. But now the big push by Orange. And I like the Argolers. Have you used them? The Jolers or whatever they're called?
Yeah, they're very good. They have splash damage and a charge attack.
Mm-hmm.
They are a bit squishy when you open them, so an elite buff or two really helps them. Being as your army is supposed to be quite mobile, can make it awkward to mix in too many of them. But
That is
after a
bad.
few buffs, it's definitely worth.
That was a bad mistake by Field to open the door there, but yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I think they're very decent also after a couple buffs. It's a very strong unit, mostly against infantry. That's what it's facing at the moment as well. So that makes sense is making them. The only downside to making them, I find, is that you cannot be making the orcs at the same time as you're making the rams, right? Because they're going for the castle. So it does hinder their production. So you need to do one or the other, and not the two at the same time. Although your push is coming here, so we might relieve a bit Dale. I don't know if it's too late though. Maybe with the name Nazgul, I think they're named now. Oh, they haven't been named yet, so maybe I think you're still okay at the moment to push that back. And this is so annoying, right? Gray going right into the eco.
That's where we're gonna lose the game.
I think,
After he gets in and Tifa doesn't have eco is when we lose.
Yeah,
amongst other mistakes earlier, but this is the point where...
Oh, you're not supposed to say that you're losing. No, you're... We don't know what's gonna happen yet, but... You know.
True.
So far, you know, it's a pretty decent game though. Like, yes, there's been some mistake here and there, but like I find it's been, you know, decent overall. Like it's not like it was a stomp or one side that like so much, you know, more than the other side. At the beginning it was like 3-2, so there's been no new buffs taken since then. It's still 3-2 for good and evil.
Actually, it's 3-3 because I took barrows.
You're right. 3-3. And now the camps are being pushed. Honestly, at this time of time, I don't know if there's anything that you can do to actually... You can delay this, but I don't think you can stop this anymore. With the Rams, with the Legionnaires, with, you know, the name Nazguls, or they're gonna be named shortly. There's like so much you can do, but there's too much for you to manage. There's no way to protect that. Now it's more a game of, can I delay them the most? And obviously P2 now has to defend here, so the push on Dale has been stalled, or has been finished. I think P6 should try to retake this and rebuild as well. He's not blocking here, which I think is maybe a mistake that it's going to be costly after. But he is also very busy defending his own base, right? So that makes sense when it's not happening. Yeah, on your side it looks like the push will not go through, but at least you're taking map control here. And now Orange has to go back and defend. So that is still a nice achievement. It just sucks because you're probably gonna have your attention diverted from here as well. I don't know if Nain's gonna survive this.
No. Oh, sorry. I didn't know either.
I find like, yeah, no, he's trapped. I think he's trapped there now. Yeah. But it's not a big deal in turn. It's just delaying the inevitable, right? He was gonna die anyway.
It is a big deal. Because he has all my attention, and at the same time, Redwater is getting attacked, which I haven't looked at.
Oh shit, yeah,
We'll see.
that's the blow that's coming, yeah. Oh yeah, that's the one that's gonna hurt. And there's nobody around to help really. Teal has no army, they're defending here. Green is not as mobile. Yeah. I don't know. I think maybe, as a green player, I feel like having like 20, even if it's idle, since green cannot really push anything himself, maybe, putting 20 archers here could always be a good idea. Even like if it's 20 merc, like that would make Redwater pretty much un ungettable, right? Impossible to push.
I like it as long as you're gonna push Easterling camps or do something over there. If not, I don't like the AFK army.
Yeah, and now Dualin is dead. Um, I assume he was maybe sent with the army over here by mistake.
No, he's been fighting with his dwarves earlier
Oh
in the
yeah,
game as well.
okay. Which is fine, I guess. It depends if you're babysitting them or not, but
You can lose them, some of them,
yeah.
as long as you don't lose Ballin for the buff or Thorin for the buff.
But that hurts. Yeah, losing Redwater here is not good, and I think camps are also falling. So yeah, that's like the mortal combo, right? When you're being pushed in camp and then Redwater, and you gotta choose one or the other. But sometimes it's just a matter of a couple of seconds of you didn't see this on time, and then you're already screwed. Same way that if you spot it, like you spot like the army coming here from player 8, you can always react, but if they're already at the gate, it's already a bit late. So you can be
Exactly.
already screwed. Sometimes it takes like 10 seconds and you're like, shoot, I'm gonna lose this. But that's the part of the game. So that sucks. Because I think so far the game was pretty even. Now, obviously, I think Evil has a good lead on the victory side. But there's still fighting going on, and the game is still young, so we don't know what's gonna happen. Is he making any Bjornings?
No.
I think that's a mistake, yeah. Because Bjornings are so powerful. They're expensive, but like you need to mass them.
But he has the gold.
Yeah,
They're mainly expensive in gold, and he has
that's
it.
true. Yeah, I think it's maybe just a lack of, having them on a speed, on a hotkey or something, the tower. I think it's always a good
No.
idea. Same way for the Dunedain. He's not making any
Yes.
from Fornos, obviously, because the castle is dead, but he still has the capacity to make some from his castle over here, right?
Yes, but first the White Council needs to meet, and we
That's
haven't
true.
done that yet.
That's true, yeah. Eventually, maybe Dunedain. Oh, and here, the Gundabad Orcs are having just such a strong unit, I find, the Gundabad Orcs. I really dislike playing against them. And now, Orange is coming back. Finish the job. There's no building here. I think that's a mistake that's going to be costly. Obviously, he's
You
busy
can
fighting
see
here, but yeah.
you can see that the early hit on his eco, he still only had 100 villages, and he
Yeah,
just
95.
cannot. He has the meat shield, so he just cannot compete.
And also, inactive fishing boats, which is now making fishing traps. I think they're just finished. But yeah, I think he's lacking eco. And he still has build here. I think those could also build more eco over here if needed. Oh, he did though. There's still some here. But yeah, definitely didn't have enough eco at this point. Oh, and this is just, yeah, this is, this is not, yeah. I don't know he can push this back. And it's sending, I think that's the right move as well that he's doing, is not taking care of the cripples right away. Because he's like, oh, this is open, I'm just gonna rush it.
Yeah, seeing as there's no resistance, I agree.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many rams he has following. I saw one. If he has a few more, then he can perfectly justify
Yeah, there's a
going
one or
in.
two coming, but the Krepos is also not a big threat, right? Compared to the castle. So the Krepos has only
However,
and the Nazguls are also pretty strong against the buildings. Like, they can take the Krepos by themselves pretty much, if needed. It's gonna take a bit of time, but it's possible. And now, Gray's gonna lose his army here. I don't think he's paying attention. He's probably microing over here. And then now he's in full panic mode. He's trying to save this, but just no way. And they're also losing the Merc Archers, I think, for... those are actually Samurai. The Merc Archers are stuck over here. And he doesn't have a big ball yet, but I think he might have been massing them, but it's just not enough time to mass for difference. And now Orange is just crushing this, right? Yeah, at this point it looks pretty over because of Dale. And Sterling isn't down, so
Yep.
that means also Wayne's. I don't see how good can come back from this. Maybe a White Council push could be the play,
Yes.
but it's gonna be hard because they probably
It's
know
gonna be hard because we don't have Galadriel and Saruman yet.
yeah, you don't have them yet, but you will, right? In the
Or
middle.
maybe they... Wait, did they just get released then, maybe?
Well, they're not here, so I would assume so.
We do White Council, but we didn't. Check Rivendell if they're there. They are.
Yeah, I think you could have tried the White Council at this point when they were like all in on Dale. I think that would have been like your moment, just because like maybe it was less defended over here. Now there's a lot of units, but I think that's the perfect timing. If you know you're behind and you're gonna lose that, I think that would have maybe been the call. But honestly, it's so hard to do that, and it's so hectic, right? And you might think that you're gonna save as well, Dale, but so it was like it would have been maybe makes sense at this point to call it the WC, but honestly, it's tough to call because it's also like a all in, right? If it doesn't pass, and you lose the game instantly.
Yeah.
And now Orange is going over here. The path.
Orange is triple buffed, so he will be very... His camels aren't buffed, but he has 45 more of them.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's gonna still be enough, I think, to make a difference. And now Camp has still not fallen, though. You've done a good job at holding it. Honestly, it's impressive because it's gonna fall eventually, I assume, because even with those, the rams that make the difference. If the rams are coming in steadily, then it's almost impossible because then you run out of buildings eventually for reproduction. And the same way that the gray is pushing on the other side as well. So now at some point you're not going to get anything anymore. And the GG's call makes perfect sense to me. I think the game was indeed over. Waynes were starting to be created over here by Wodax, and those were just going to destroy everything once they had a mass. What do you do against Waynes, by the way? What's your take on this?
The Waynes, only very elite units can even be considered a counter, like Mass Mercs, Mass Clintons. Then again, if the Waynes get on top of those with splash damage, they wipe out an hour of your massing, so they're very tough.
Yeah, it is. They're probably the best unit in the game. Waynes. What else is as strong? Maybe the Drakes.
The Fire Drakes
Arc
and
and Guards are not
the
that strong.
Moria Veterans and the Rune Lords, I feel like, are also very strong.
Yeah,
And of course, Linden Archer.
Yeah, true. Linden Archers, yes, and they also take they take longer to mass because it's one building versus two, right? So I feel like
it's one building and it opens pretty late pretty late.
What is
around
the
an
condition
hour.
for Linden? Is it just time?
White Council meeting.
It's the White Council meeting. Yeah.
In Rivendell. Yes.
That makes sense. And talking about the Linden, I don't see Green making any. So I don't think he was making a Linden as well. So that might be a mistake. But at this point, I think the game was over. So probably you were just like discussing, let's go next or something similar. It was still a pretty good game, honestly. Like I don't think it was like, it wasn't a stump, and it wasn't like necessarily mistakes being overly costly. It was just small mistakes here and there that cost you the game, I think, or just small timings that were off, like the push on Easterlings where unfortunately the nests were done before you had the time to push. So I think it's still very strong. It's just if both arrive at the same time, But player 8 is always the slowest, right? So I think maybe that might be the
Yes.
situation. I don't know. Maybe try to push at the same time exactly, but then that delays the nest push. I don't know. It's a tough call. And on the other side, obviously, Blue was less experienced. I think he will now a little bit more maybe. And again, like qualifications doesn't really matter, right? It's more like everybody gets a bit of practice, learn from our mistakes, do better next game, moving on, And I think there's no, wasn't, it was still a good game. All right, so that's it for game two. Stan against Strat for the qualification stage. Thank you, Stan, and see
Thank
you
you.
soon.